In this video, we're going to be using the cofunction identities to find a cofunction that has the same value. So our cofunction identities are these identities right here. Let's talk a little bit more about them so we can see what's really happening. So what does it mean to be a complementary angle? Well, complementary angles are two angles that add up to 90 degrees. Here we have a sine function and we also have a cosine function. Well, what does the word co mean in cosine? Well, cosine means that it's the complement of sine, which means that if I add these two angles together, I should get 90 degrees. And that's why here, when we look at sine and cosine, we see that when I find the complement of sine, I get cosine. And when I find the complement of cosine, I get sine. The same thing works with tangent and cotangent. So cotangent would be the complement of tangent, and secant and cosecant. And cosecant would be the complement of secant. And so we can use those to help us. In our first example, we have that the cotangent of 15 degrees equals 2 plus the square root of 3. Now the complement of 15, let's find that. So here's our theta, right? So if I take 90 and I subtract 15 to find the complement, I'm going to get 75 degrees. Remember that cotangent and tangent are cofunctions. They're complements of each other. So we can then say that the cotangent of 15 degrees is the same thing as the tangent of 75 degrees, which would give us that 2 plus the square root of 3. So our answer in this case, what is the cofunction, would be that our cofunction is the tangent of 75 degrees. Let's take a look at our second example. Here we have the cosine of pi over 6 equals radical 3 over 2. And what's the complement of cosine? It's sine. So what we can do is, since we're using radians here as opposed to degrees, right, what we need to remember is that 90 degrees is the same thing as pi over 2 radians. So we're going to take our pi over 2 and subtract pi over 6. And when we do that, we can get common denominators. And so we're looking at 3 pi over 6 minus 2 pi over 6. And that's going to give us pi over 3. And again, sine and cosine are cofunctions. So we're able to say that the cosine of pi over 6 is the same as the sine of pi over 3, which will give us radical 3 over 2. So in this case, our cofunction with the same value as cosine of pi over 6 would be the sine of pi over 3. And that's how you use cofunction identities to find a cofunction with the same value.